There's this deeply intense, honestly kind of dark psychological transformation that happens the exact moment someone realizes they are completely, undeniably on their own. It's this massive journey from absolute vulnerability straight into unbreakable strength. Just imagine someone sitting alone in the dark, constantly waiting for a savior to show up. We're going to unpack the mechanics of this super harsh realization and really look at the loneliness, the emotional pain, and the incredible mental growth that only comes through severe suffering. Let's see how this violently reshapes human behavior. Let's start with a really uncomfortable question. Who are you actually waiting for? Seriously, think about it. We look out into the world, just watching people walk right past us, completely ignoring us. We're reaching out toward these distant shadow figures, just waiting for someone to understand us, to guide us, or to just look at us and finally care. And hey, we all have a version of this, right? Staring at an empty phone screen waiting for a notification. We're essentially waiting for some external force to suddenly step in, flip on the lights, and magically make everything okay. But here's the thing. By doing that, we completely trap ourselves in a state of absolute paralysis. We're desperately hoping this external force is going to arrive to fix our lives. But this endless wait, it literally becomes a prison of our own making. The psychology happening here is absolutely devastating. You spend your days projecting all your hope outward, telling yourself that the right mentor or the right partner or the perfect opportunity is just going to come along and pull you out of the shadows. But while you're stuck in this passive state of hoping, you are completely surrendering your own agency. You're just frozen in place.
Picture a dark, empty street in the pouring rain. You look around and finally realize the cavalry isn't coming. Nobody came. It is such a chilling, profound turning point in the human experience. That empty street perfectly represents the terrifying void every single one of us has to face at some point. There is no lifeline. There's nobody walking through that rain to hand you a map. It is literally just you, the absolute silence, and the cold, hard reality of your situation.
And then, days bleed into months. Months bleed into years. The calendar pages just fly away. Seasons rapidly change outside your window, while you remain stuck in the exact same emotional spot. You start watching an older, totally exhausted version of yourself forming in the mirror. Because the sheer agony of waiting isn't just boring. No, it is actively destructive. The longer this timeline stretches out, the heavier that psychological toll becomes. It just grinds down your spirit, day by agonizing day.
So why on earth do we subject ourselves to this? Well, it's because when we're thrust into darkness, our brains are literally hardwired to look for rescue. We desperately want a helping hand. We seek validation through online approval. We seek support through text messages. And we crave the comfort of a warm room just to escape that lonely night. And this is exactly why the initial realization of total isolation hurts so deeply. Your mind is basically screaming for a connection that simply isn't there, pushing you right to the edge of a profound emotional breakdown. But here is the incredibly harsh truth. Reality does not stop for broken people. You might be completely frozen in your pain, sitting all alone in a room, but the world, it keeps moving at lightning speed right past you. The crowds keep walking. Those overdue bills keep piling up on your desk. The crushing psychological weight and your silent emotional suffering, they don't just hit pause because you need a break. The pressure is absolutely relentless. The universe is entirely indifferent to your waiting. And honestly, it's that indifferent momentum that eventually forces the ultimate break. Now, what happens when the very act of waiting becomes the thing that's destroying you? That's when the dangerous realization hits. You realize you aren't just stuck anymore, you are being actively consumed by it. Think of waiting not as hitting a pause button, but as wearing these heavy iron chains. As that clock spins rapidly on the wall, every single second you spend waiting for a savior is a second where your own life force is just draining away. It turns out the cure you were desperately waiting for is actually the poison. So we arrive at this major shift. You realize that waiting equals weakness. And this shift isn't a tragedy at all. It's a full-on psychological awakening. You see that the longer you wait, the weaker you become. And once your brain finally links that act of hoping for a savior directly to the feeling of becoming weaker, it naturally recoils. You literally can no longer tolerate the wait. This is the exact moment that victim mentality begins to just burn away. It's completely destroyed, and it gets replaced by something much colder and honestly much more formidable.
Okay, so breaking out of the dark requires 3 very deliberate, highly empowering steps. First, you have to stand up and just stop waiting. Shatter those chains. Second, delete the excuses and stop complaining.
And third, step out into the darkness alone, completely letting go of any expectation of a rescue. And look, this isn't some slow, gradual process. No, it is a sudden, conscious decision to walk alone. This is exactly how a person stops being a victim and starts becoming truly dangerous.
Because prolonged pain basically forces an ultimate choice between two very distinct paths. Path 1, you collapse under the pressure, becoming this broken, defeated figure who just lets the endless weight consume you entirely. Or Path 2, you awaken. You forge a dangerous new confidence straight out of your suffering, becoming this powerful force that moves relentlessly forward. Pain is literally the ultimate separator of these two mindsets.
And it all comes back to one undeniable fact: nobody is coming. But notice how, this time, that silence isn't filled with despair at all. There is a calm, fiercely focused energy now. That dark, empty road, it isn't a tragedy anymore. It's a completely blank canvas. By fully accepting this brutal fact, all that anxiety of waiting completely vanishes. Poof, gone. And it's immediately replaced by a cold, unbreakable strength.
It's crazy, but realizing that no one is coming to save you is the exact moment you become truly powerful. It's this paradoxical freedom. I mean, when there's no safety net, there's no one left to blame. When there's no savior, well, you have absolutely no choice but to become your own hero. That emotional silence transforms into a new sunrise. The sheer overwhelming weight of absolute isolation actually sets you completely free from everyone else's expectations.
You might spend years, literally years, hoping someone will understand you, fix you, or just swoop in and change your life. But the absolute strongest people out there are built on the brutal realization that the only person who can actually do that is staring back at them in the mirror. So look at your own moments of isolation today. Are you going to use them as a prison to just sit and wait in, or are you going to use them as the spark for your ultimate awakening? Ask yourself, what chains do you need to break right now?